Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. Katarina is away this week. This is CBC Windsor News live at 6. Thanks so much for watching tonight. As the shortage of early childhood educators continues, the City of Windsor is launching a recruitment campaign of its own. Plus, workers at the Windsor salt mine have been on strike for more than a month now. Today, though, a rally at City Hall sending a message to the mayor. 2 officers in Edmonton killed in the line of duty. Both were responding to a family dispute call when they were shot by a young man. And a large balloon landed in the backyard of one Amherstburg home. We'll hear from the men who found it and what it could be. There's an urgent need to open more spots at childcare centers right in our city. It's prompted by the recent decision to bring in $10 a day childcare. The City of Windsor says it's working to add more spaces, but as TJ Deere tells us, the biggest barrier is staffing shortages.
A little closer. Yes!
1,540 new childcare spots will be coming to Windsor over the next 5 years. They'll be part of expansion plans at city-offered centers, but the big issue is finding employees.
We know that the expansion of childcare centers is going to be really important, and then the need for ECEs is just, kind of perplexing and kind of exasperating that issue.
The $10.2 billion agreement between the province and Ottawa saw childcare fees drop 25% by April 2022 and drop a further 50% at the end of last year. The ultimate goal of the deal is to have average childcare fees of $10 a day by 2025.
This is a fantastic day. It's not about the federal government or provincial government. It's about parents getting $10 a day childcare.
The drop in fees has caused some daycare centers to have wait lists. One parent knows that all too well, saying she had trouble getting her 6-month-old baby into childcare.
Apparently, I should have had him on a wait list before he was even born. Some wait lists are as long as 1.5 to 2 years from what I'm understanding. And my daycare particularly is very short-staffed.
The Delta Chi early childhood centers all have extensive wait lists. Their executive director says they have just stabilized their staffing issues, but there's still a push to open up more spots, which means more staff.
We have been asked to go into expand again into both the school boards, but we regrettably are unable to do that right now because of the staffing shortage.
The city's manager of children's services said since the deal between the provincial and federal governments was signed, more children are entering childcare and more childcare staff are needed, which will help clear the wait lists.
In order to address the need and all of these new little ones coming into childcare, we need more ECEs, which is why we're doing this push.
Bosco said they're trying to recruit potential ECEs through things like paid professional development, partnerships with secondary and post-secondary schools, and mentorship opportunities. She was unable to confirm how many ECEs are needed in Windsor, Essex, but did say that all their childcare centers want more staff. TJ Deere, CBC News, Windsor.
Striking Windsor salt workers held a rally in front of City Hall today. People used the rally to put pressure on the city's mayor.
Hey, we're calling Drew Dilkins to come out here and help us make progress because he wants to broadcast to everybody that he's bringing jobs to Windsor, and that's great, and I'm all for bringing more jobs to Windsor, but what about the jobs that are currently in Windsor? Yeah! Okay? We need to respect the jobs that are currently in Windsor and fight for those jobs as well.
There's 250 people on strike at Windsor Salt. They haven't been able to work for over a month now. Union officials say the American company that owns the operation won't negotiate. The owners haven't responded to our requests for an interview. Mayor Drew Dilkins did leave City Hall today to address the crowd. He says that he supports the employees.
I wanted to come down here. I wanted to address you and say I support you. I know this is a tough go. And some of you are going to say, well, have you talked to company management? I have talked to company management. And I've encouraged them to get back to the table to find a solution to this as well, because I want you to get back to work. So I know this is tough. I know we've got high inflation. I know living on strike pay is damn hard. And so do what you got to do. I support you. City Council supports you. And we support the company to get back to the table, to get your parties back to the table and find a solution that'll get you back to work.
Edmonton is a city in mourning after 2 police officers were shot to death in the line of duty early this morning. The officers were killed after responding to a family dispute call. The male suspect in the shooting, who is also dead, was 16 years old, and a woman who was injured and taken to hospital is his mother. Travis McEwen reports.
Broken glass and a massive police presence signify the severity of the situation. Edmonton police officers were called to a family dispute at this apartment complex just after midnight. When two officers approached the suite, they were shot by a male suspect, shocking nearby residents.
I think I went to bed about 12 midnight, and I heard a hot gunshot. I was scared. I thought it's like a fireworks.
Edmonton police say the officers didn't get a chance to discharge their firearms. They were rushed to hospital by colleagues who did everything they could to save their lives. Unfortunately, they were declared dead. The two officers are being identified as 35-year-old Constable Travis Jordan, who'd been with the force for 8 years, and 30-year-old Constable Brett Ryan, who had 5 years of service.
Constables Jordan and Ryan were valued members of our EPS family, and they work side by side with us every day in service to our community, and I can't tell you how devastated we are with their loss. And their lives and sacrifice will not be forgotten.
The young male suspect is also dead. Investigators believe he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It's been almost 8 years since an Edmonton police officer was killed in the line of duty. Constable Daniel Woodall was shot while attempting a criminal harassment arrest.
So I ask all Edmontonians, when you see an officer working to keep you safe and our community safe, please thank them for their service.
This is unthinkable, it's unimaginable, it's horrific, it's a tragedy, but we will move on because that's what we do.
And the impact of this tragedy expands far beyond Edmonton.
It's a loss that's felt throughout the province, and I'm sure throughout our country, and definitely with our membership. Mostly with our members in Edmonton, but definitely in Calgary, in Medicine Hat, in Lethbridge, across our province.
As they struggle to come to terms with their own grief, the investigation is ongoing, looking into why the officers were killed and what happened before they arrived. Travis McEwen, CBC News, Edmonton.
Police in Windsor issued a statement this morning saying, "We are devastated by the news that 2 Edmonton police officers were shot and killed early this morning. Our thoughts are with the officers' families, friends, and colleagues at this tragic time." And some breaking local news this hour. Police have shut down a section of the city by Willisted Park. They're telling people in that area to stay inside. Police say there's an active investigation in the 1000 block of Lincoln Road. They're telling people in that area to stay indoors. Officers are also turning away traffic and blocking off the area to pedestrians. Now, this is very much a developing story that we're following, and we'll keep you updated as we get more information. To an update now on the NDP's request to have Ontario's Integrity Commissioner investigate a stag and doe held for the Premier's daughter last year. Integrity Commissioner J. David Wake saying today he's temporarily setting aside the request from NDP leader Merritt Stiles, but Wake says he is not dismissing the investigation, just pausing it because he says there's overlap with a related investigation. Stiles had asked Wake to investigate what she called the curious timing of recent purchases of Greenbelt land made by powerful landowners with ties to the Ontario PC Party. Ford and Municipal Affairs and Housing Minister Steve Clark have both denied tipping off developers ahead of announcing that the government would remove land from areas from the protected Greenbelt, allowing homes to be built there. The Premier has acknowledged that some developers who are friends attended the $150 a ticket stag and doe event for his daughter last August. Taking you now west of the city and the provincial by-election day in Hamilton Centre. Now, that seat belonged to former Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath. She held it since 2004. Horwath stepped down after the party lost last year's provincial election and then went on to be the mayor of Hamilton. Residents have until 9 tonight to cast their ballot, and we'll bring you the latest results on CBC TV tonight at 11 with Talia Ricci. Asian communities are calling on the province and federal government to take action against anti-Asian racism. A new report takes a look at how it's affected members of Canada's Asian communities in a more personal way. Dale Manukduk has those details.
It was nice to meet other people who had gone through similar experiences.
Pak Ki Wong was one of 31 participants who took part in a new report looking at anti-Asian racism during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I'm a lot more aware of my surroundings now. You know, when I go into a space, I look around to see who's there.
Wong, who immigrated to Canada more than 30 years ago, says since the pandemic, he's been told to go home, spat at, and threatened on the train. It's experiences like these that the report from the Chinese-Canadian National Council Toronto chapter and University of Toronto's Faculty of Social Work are looking at, from microaggressions to overt racism.
Go back to China where you came from.
Like in this video from a Mississauga grocery store in 2020.
There's a lot of number and about the incident of how interpersonal attack that impacted our community. But I think there's a lack of qualitative data.
We will not be silenced, we will not disappear, and we will not be isolated.
The rise of anti-Asian racism sparked rallies across the country. This one happened 2 weeks after the 2021 Atlanta mass shooting targeting and killing Asian women. Associate Professor Izumi Sakamoto notes that even many small instances can take its toll.
I deal with something racial every day.
Citing American comedian Margaret Cho's famous line, living in this country as a minority is like dying of 1,000 paper cuts.
So it's not that big of a deal to go to emergency room for, but if you get it 1,000 times every day, eventually it's going to break your soul.
Introduce motion number 63 on anti-Asian racism.
While it's been brought to the House floor for debate, Asian communities would like to see more done to address the issue. Many who participated in the research are hoping for an end to Wu Nai, which translates to hopelessness and helplessness.
It's heartening to know that even 3 years into the pandemic, 2 years anniversary of Atlanta shooting, we haven't seen enough concrete action item from the government.
Dale Monukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
There's been a lot of talk lately about objects, some of them mysterious, flying high in the sky. Now, an Amherstburg man had a surprise visitor of his own from above yesterday. The CBC's Del Molnar brings us the story.
So I come out of my house, out of my kitchen, and over here on the lawn was this big balloon. It was like 3 foot in diameter, partially deflated.
Tom Delmore didn't expect to find a weather balloon on his yard Wednesday morning at around 9:30. At first, he thought the balloon might have come from China.
I did. I thought it was. I was a little bit worried at first, but then I figured, well, it's got to be, can't be from there. It's too small, and but I did think about China right away.
When he and his neighbor Lyle Dory went to trace the string attached, it led them to a transponder in a neighbor's yard that showed it came from the National Weather Service in the States.
And it had a website, so Lyle went on the website, and it said that not to do anything with the balloon, to call the fire department because there might be some gases in the balloon that might harm us.
They called Amherstburg Fire and Rescue, who in turn notified the police. Fire officials say the balloon could contain either helium or hydrogen, which could be a problem.
It is a flammable gas, so if it does hit a source, then it could explode or start a fire in its location. Whereas if it's the helium, it is the fun one, but unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two.
According to the National Weather Service in Detroit, it was filled with hydrogen. They say the balloon traveled about 80 kilometers from White Lake Township, Michigan, where it was launched at 7 a.m.
It ended up there because of the winds. And it is unusual for it to land that close, especially to our office. Usually they'll travel, 100, 200 miles away from our office. And that really depends on the winds in the upper atmosphere. The reason this one landed there was, I believe, due to the balloon was leaking, like there might have been a small hole in the balloon, which will happen from time to time.
Delmore now has the string from the balloon as a souvenir.
It was strange to see something like that after all the information that we've been seeing on the news and whatnot with weather balloons and the balloons from China and whatnot.
No, this was the type of balloon that didn't have to be returned, so the fire department just disposed of it. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Amherstburg.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News live at 6. Speaking of what comes from the sky, some rain and chance for flurries, that's on the way as well. We'll have those weather details coming up next. St. Clair College's men's basketball team is trying to take home the national title this week. They just finished their first game, a big win that sees them move on.
In transition, Shaq Price ahead of the play. Good patience by Shaq Price to tie this one up at 34.
The Saints beating St. Mary's 108-93. The next game is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We take a live look outside right now. A windy Thursday across Windsor, Essex. Gusts hitting 50 kilometers per hour at times today. It's 10 degrees outside though, so pretty nice still as we head into a cloudy evening, setting up a bit of a mixed bag of weather for St. Paddy's Day. Looks like rain in the morning that should ease off by late in the afternoon. Saturday is a bit of rain and flurries, looking at a high there of -2. A Canadian group has come up with an environmentally friendly way of sharing food while saving money. And as we hear from CBC's Paula Dayan-Perez, it's so simple, nearly anyone can do it.
Julian Vanegas arrived from Colombia 9 months ago. Today, he volunteers at Mission Nouvelle Génération. In addition to helping people in the area, the food bank ships packages of dry food to Venezuela, Haiti, and the Philippines. Vanegas says the group's objective is close to his heart.
I'm Latin American, and I know how many hungry has another people. Sorry, but it's really important.
Mission Nouvelle Génération received surplus food from large stores. While preparing 2,000 food baskets a week, the nonprofit found some of it would go to waste.
We're doing more with the produce we receive.
The group's executive director says he started looking for ideas 3 years ago. He traveled to Ontario to learn how to dehydrate fruits and vegetables. Now the team processes 1 ton of produce a day.
I'm really proud that we can do that, and the country of Canada is great for that because we receive the over of the people don't want.
The equipment and cost of the project are financed through other initiatives, including a low-cost store, bicycle repair, and resale. Muriel Fulham has been volunteering at Mission Nouvelle Génération for 4 years. She says she continues to be impressed.
Since I've been here, they've been innovative. They're always looking for innovative things to feed people.
In the coming months, the group plans to start sending dry food to Ukraine. Stéphane Plante says the mission's work is never done and will continue to look for new ways to meet people's needs. Paula Dayan-Perez, CBC News, Brossard.
Still to come here on CBC Windsor News Live at 6, a new TV series called Essex County. We'll hear from one of the young actors coming up right after the break. A new show debuts this week with deep roots in our region. It's called Essex County. The limited series is based on the graphic novel by Jeff Lemire. At the center of the series is a kid named Lester, whose mother has just died. We caught up with the actor this week who plays that character.
Hi, my name is Finley Wojciechowski. I'm 13 years old, and I play Lester in Essex County.
I didn't ask for this.
Ken.
Hey, Lester, what did they tell you about me?
I've never talked about you. Lester's a very complicated character. He's a very complicated kid. With his mom, he was very closed off, and it was just him and his mom, and they were like a power team, and they were just doing stuff together all the time. And when she passed away, I think everything came crashing down for him, and he had to move in with his uncle, and different things happened throughout the series. You know, you feel bad for Lester. You want to help him, even though you can't help him. You want to help Lester, and you know, when his mom dies and he gets bullied, I'm not going to go into detail, but this mask and the cape that his mom made for him is a way for him to find confidence, because Lester's the type of kid that never has confidence. Even with his mom, he never had confidence. It's the type of kid that walks with his shoulders slumped over and his head kind of down, you know. My brother, I would get the lines from my brother when he would do auditions, and I just run them with my mom for absolutely no reason. And my mom said, you seem very natural when you do lines. And she said, I don't know, it's just when I reached 8, it was like, why don't I just give this a try? You know, like it's not going to affect me if I don't get it, but it's worth a try. So when I was around 8 and a half, I did my first audition, and Lona Scherfig gave me the role of Jude in Kindness of Strangers.
He'll be playing the part of Lester in Essex County. The 5-part limited series will premiere in Canada this Sunday, March 19th at 9 p.m. on CBC TV. It's also streaming free on CBC Gem. New episodes air weekly every Sunday night, as well as stream for free on CBC Gem. Toronto's largest zoo has temporarily closed access to its bird park. It's being extra careful after several cases of avian flu were discovered south of the city. And as we hear from the CBC's Idil Musa, these outbreaks can be damaging to other birds and animals.
Visitors flocking to the Toronto Zoo in hopes of catching a glimpse of exotic birds will have to wait. Several cases of a highly contagious strain of avian flu were confirmed in southern Ontario this week, and the zoo isn't taking any chances.
We took the proactive steps to close our aviaries to our guests to protect the birds that are in our care.
There were major outbreaks last year of the H5N1 virus around the world. In Canada, nearly 5 million domestic birds were infected, and more than 250 farms and facilities experienced outbreaks, according to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Experts say seasonal avian flu outbreaks will likely continue to happen.
That is associated with migratory birds. So it's primarily being transmitted because of migration of those birds, and that's why there's some seasonality to the behavior of this virus.
Sharif says the risk to humans is low, but this particular strain of avian flu is lethal to birds, and it's proven deadly to other animals too. 8 skunks found dead in British Columbia last month tested positive.
We suspect these skunks became infected by eating dead wild birds.
BC says it's investing $5 million in its poultry and livestock sector to help reduce and prevent disease outbreaks.
As the virus has changed, it is now a year-round challenge that we are facing. These funds will allow us to bring on full-time staff and infrastructure to be able to better respond in the future.
Chicken Farmers of Canada says the impact of avian influenza on poultry farms over the last year has been significant. So farmers are working closely with federal and provincial bodies to reduce the risk of outbreaks. Idil Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
An update now on a developing story we're following. Police have shut down a block by Willisted Park. Police say there's an active investigation in the 1000 block of Lincoln Road. They're telling people in that area to stay indoors. Now, we've asked for more details on the type of investigation, and police are saying, quote, "We have limited information at this time. As always, our priority is public safety, so until we can guarantee that, we err on the side of caution and ask those in the immediate area to remain in the residence until further notice," end quote. Officers are also turning away traffic and blocking off the area to pedestrians. That's it for us here at CBC Windsor News Live at 6. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, for news anytime, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media as well. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The National is our next newscast. You can catch that tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on CBC News Network, 10 p.m. on CBC TV, and streaming on CBC Gem and CBC News Explore. Have a great night.